Hey everyone, Tim Streifler here with Divi Life, and I am super excited. We have a really cool tutorial for you today, how to create a pop-up in Divi without using any plugins at all. It's completely free and it relies on the bulk of the functionality that's already in Divi. So we don't have to add any huge scripts or anything like that. So it's super lightweight solution. So you probably know, if you've been following Divi Life, that we have several pop-up solutions. So Divi Overlays, the #1 pop-up builder for Divi, been around since 2017. And then we also have Divi Hacks, that's now part of our product portfolio, which has pop-up functionality built in. And so plugins are great. We love plugins. We sell plugins, and we still highly recommend both of those solutions for building pop-ups. But sometimes, depending on the circumstance, you might not want to add any additional plugins. And so this tutorial is going to show you how to do it. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. And so you should be seeing my screen now. So this is the tutorial, and we're going to be following along with it in today's tutorial. And so you can follow along with me, but let's go ahead and just show you some examples really quick here of what it looks like. And so this is on the page right here. So this is a section. And so what's really cool about this solution is you can easily turn any section on the page, any row or any module into a pop-up and trigger it with a click. So here's the row example. Here is a module, so the tabs module with some customizations. You can do a Lightbox video. You can have a link be an image. You can have a link be a text link. So a lot of cool things you can do. And again, the bulk of the functionality is already built into Divi. Divi has the Lightbox functionality that's built into it for the gallery module and the image module. And so we're essentially taking advantage of that. We have a small script we are adding just to make it look for the classes and stuff and to trigger it when we want it to. But 98% of it is already built into Divi. And so we're just taking advantage of it with this tutorial. And so again, I want to say this is really great for creating click-triggered pop-ups. If you need more features such as automatic pop-ups, so triggering them on a time delay, or when the user scrolls down a certain part of the page, or exit intent, or if you need things like scheduling or you want templates, we definitely recommend Divi Overlays, which is our product. But again, for just creating a quick pop-up right on the page, this is the way to do it. So super excited here to dive into this. Now, this is kind of just an overall summary of what we are doing today. The first thing is we're adding that custom script to enable our classes. Remember, the bulk of the functionality is already built into Divi with the Lightbox functionality that Divi uses in the gallery module and the image module. Here, we're just enabling the classes so that when we add the click trigger, it'll know what to do and what to pop up. And then we have a little bit of custom CSS to add, just a few lines. And then we set the trigger element, and then we set the content element. So this is essentially saying, hey, I want this button here to pop open my pop-up. And then this class right here is saying, hey, this is the content of the pop-up that I want you to pop up when this element is clicked. So super easy, super straightforward, just a few small steps. And so for this tutorial, I have a local install using the Divi Roofer child theme. It's one of our child themes from Divi Life. It's actually a really great looking one of my favorites that we've come out with recently. And so we're going to be using this in the demonstration. So as the tutorial states, the first thing we want to do is we want to add the custom script to enable our pop-up classes. And where we're going to add that to is the head of the website. Now, the easiest way to add some code to the head of the website is to put it into Divi theme options. So I have this copied right here, and I'm going over to Divi theme options. And I realize this is a little bit cut off for you but you get where I'm at here. Okay, so we're going to go to the integration tab. And I actually already have it pasted here from when I was getting set up for this, but I'm just going to pretend I didn't. Now I'm going to paste it right here. And then two things you want to do after you paste the code in this head box is you want to make sure that the header code is turned on, so it'll be lit up blue like this and it'll say enabled. And then the second thing you want to make sure you do is you hit save changes and wait till you see that green check mark. Okay, perfect. All right, so we've added the code to Divi theme options, the script, which basically enables our classes. Now the second thing we want to do is add the CSS code. And so going back to the tutorial here, step 2, copy and paste the following CSS. Now you don't have to put this in the custom CSS box within Divi theme options. You can put it wherever you have custom CSS. So if you use a child theme and put all your code there, then you can add that there. And we'll have a link to our child theme guide in this tutorial in case you're confused what a Divi child theme is. But go ahead and copy that, paste it into custom CSS. And then again, you want to make sure that you hit save. You don't have to make sure it's enabled like the integration tab. It'll automatically be enabled. You just have to make sure you hit save after you add that custom CSS code. And so now we have done the first 2 steps. So that's the hard part. So technically you are touching code in this tutorial because you're copy and pasting the script in the custom CSS, but that's it. We don't have to do anything else. All now we have to do is add the classes to the modules. And so I'm going to go ahead and head on over to, actually I'm going to go open this. So I like to have 2 tabs open, one for Visual Builder and then one for the front end so I can look at it on the front end. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple things. One is I'm going to make this link here. Instead of saying see our services, I'm going to make it say watch our video intro. And then I'm going to have it do a pop-up video. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this pricing table here into a pop-up and make the entire section be a pop-up, and I'll add a button that says view our pricing and it'll trigger that pop-up. So those are the 2 things we're going to do in this tutorial. And so I'm going to go ahead and enable the Visual Builder. And going back to the tutorial here, we've done step 1, we've added the script. We've done step 2, we've added the CSS. Now we just have to do step 3 and 4. The first one is to create your trigger and then add the custom CSS class. So the trigger is what will trigger the pop-up when clicked. So if you want a button that says trigger this pop-up, well, that button will be the trigger, and then you add the custom CSS class. So I'm going to go ahead and, as I mentioned, I'm going to change this link. This link's going to be my trigger, just so it makes a little more sense to me. I'm going to say, watch our video intro. I'm just going to change that link there. Okay, so that's our trigger. Now I need to add the class. And so the class is Lightbox -trigger whatever you want, right? So I'm going to copy this whole thing here. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to replace value with any number of words. So you can just do simple numbers and have it 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can actually add a word. I like to add a word just so it's easy to match it with the content, which will be the next step. So I'm going to just call this video intro, right? So Lightbox trigger video intro. And I just need to make sure that this right here matches the pop-up content. So it'll know what to pop up when watch our video intro is clicked. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. So that's step 3. Step 3 is done. Now we need to do step 4. Step 4 is create your pop-up content and add the corresponding CSS class. And so basically, what do you want to pop up when that trigger is clicked? And so as I mentioned, I'm going to make this trigger a video. Now it doesn't really matter where you put the pop-up content because it's going to be hidden on the front end of the site until it's clicked. So you could have it at the bottom, you can have it right underneath the trigger. It doesn't matter. It's going to show up in the Visual Builder, which might be a little confusing. You just have to remember on the front end of the site, it's going to not be there at all until that trigger is clicked. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add it right here. And I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing this for a video. The second way is a little bit better, and I'm going to show you why. But we're going to go ahead and just do this first method first. Okay. Let's do this. 1 second here. All right, I'm just sick of seeing that video here. I'm just going to grab a URL for a different video, one of my own videos. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert that new video, insert into post. Okay, so now I have a video module with this video. Now I'm going to just do a couple things. One is I'm going to set a maxed width of 800 pixels, and then I'm going to make sure it's lined up centered. And you're not going to see these changes here because it's within the column. But basically, because we're only going to pop open the module in this first method I'm showing you, it doesn't really matter what column it's in, what row it's in, what section it's in, because it's essentially going to ignore all that, and it's just going to pop open the module. So I'm going to make sure I have the right parameters here. Okay, so that's that. Now I just need to add the corresponding class. So step 4 is create the pop-up content. We just did that. And then part 2 is add the corresponding CSS class. So it's Lightbox content and then the value. Now remember, Lightbox trigger is what we put for the trigger, and then we put video intro for the value. So I'm going to do the same thing here just with Lightbox content. I'm going to change value with video intro, and may be obvious, but you have to make sure that it's spelled exactly the same as you have it in the trigger. It has to match exactly. Otherwise, it won't sync up. And then you have to hit save. So just to confirm here, you can see Lightbox trigger, video intro. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this in the Visual Builder. Now again, it looks really stupid right here in the column, all tiny like that, but it's going to be completely ignored on the front end, and it's only going to show up when we click that trigger. So refreshing the page here. Okay, watch our video intro, click that, boom. Now I mentioned I have 2 methods I'm going to show you really quickly for adding something like this for a video. And the first one was just adding a video module and adding that class to the module itself. And it's a simple way to do it. However, there's one drawback. The plugin automatically adds a closed class. And I don't know if you can see it here. It's really small. It's actually kind of overlapping the video because it does it within the content. And so there's not really an easy way to change the alignment unless you want to dig into the CSS. So a workaround is to basically add the content to a row and then have the video inside the row. So then there's the closing cross there will be outside of the video contained in the row, and the row is not going to have a background. So that's what that looks like. But pretty slick. We just created a pop-up without installing any plugins, just copying and pasting a little bit of code and some custom classes. So super easy. Now I'm going to come back to the Visual Builder here. I'm just going to add a row, and I'm just going to move this video module into the row. And then I'm going to open up this video module, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to remove it from here, and I'm going to add it to here instead, because I want this. That way you'll see the close outside of the video, and so basically it's going to pop open the same thing. Now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because I have a max width on my video module of 800 pixels. I'm going to just do a little bit bigger than that. Let's do a max width of 900. That way the close button will be a little bit closer. So if we hover over here, we can see, kind of visualize what it's going to look like. I think that's going to look really good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then we'll wait for that to save there. Let's refresh this front end page here. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Boom. So now you can see the close is outside of the video and it doesn't overlap the share button for this YouTube video. So it makes it just a little bit easier to see. And so you can see how easy it is to make a module or a row be a pop-up using this method. So super, super cool, super easy. So I'm going to close that. We'll leave that example. And then let's go on to the second one, which is turning this price section into a pop-up. So going back here, we've already added, so we already have one working pop-up on the page. Now we're going to add a second one. We don't need to repeat steps 1 and 2. They're already done. Don't need to add the classes and add the script again. It's already on there. And so now we can essentially just repeat step 3 and 4 to add more pop-ups to the page. So let's go ahead and create that trigger. So I'm going to make this entire section be a pop-up. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it doesn't fill the width. And so for the trigger, I'm going to add a section above it just with a simple button that says view our pricing. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to, oops, close that. Let's go ahead and copy this module here. And I'm going to add it right here. Paste module. Let's open that up. Let's center align it. Let's change the content to say view our pricing. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say open there just because the Divi button module really wants us to add a link. And then, so I'm adding what's called an anchor link. It's not really going to anchor anywhere. It's just going to make sure it doesn't jump to the top of the page. Okay, so now we're going to add the CSS class to make this a click trigger. So again, coming back to our blog post here, Lightbox trigger value. Let's go ahead and copy that to the class. And then we'll replace value with pricing. We'll keep it nice and simple. So that's step 3. Now step 4 is making this entire section become our pop-up. Make sure I open the right one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to make this entire section be our pop-up here. So let's go ahead and get that class here. So Lightbox content, copy that, paste it here. And then we're going to swap value with pricing so it matches up with our trigger. Now, one thing I want to do is I don't want this entire section to fill the width of the screen. So I'm going to actually make this smaller. So I'm going to go into sizing and I'm going to say max width, let's say 1440. Okay, and then let's make it center aligned. So that way we'll have the pricing table, we'll have what's above it, and then we'll have a little bit of space. Let's see. That might be a little more space than I need. Actually, that's going to look okay because I want to give it have some nice padding there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then let's go ahead and look at that on the front end. So let's refresh this. Now this is a local website that I'm using Flywheel Local. We have a tutorial on DiviLife.com how to set up Flywheel Local. But because I'm running the screen sharing and the screen recording and stuff, it's a little bit slower than normal. So thank you for your patience. Okay, so you'll notice this section is now completely hidden. We replace it with this button. But as soon as we click, now it appears. And so you can see I made it smaller so that it wouldn't cover the full width to kind of give it a more classic pop-up feel. You can see that close button there. That looks really good. I really like that. Now, obviously, you can come in here and you can have fun with it and make it look however you want. Now, I'm going to do a couple things here just to get a little bit fancy. And I'm going to give this a nice border radius of 30 pixels. Actually, let's try 20. Okay, 20 pixels. And then I'm going to do a nice box shadow. I'm not sure if that's going to actually show up. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and see what that looks like here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and refresh here. Something about pop-ups with rounded corners just makes it feel a little more like a nice pop-up. All right, so that's what it looks like. That looks really good. I really like the way that that came out. So super happy with that. Now, a couple of things here. I'm not going to necessarily show you in this tutorial, but you'll notice if you keep scrolling down here, we have an optional thing you can do, which is change the background overlay. And so by default, I'm fairly certain it'll just be solid black unless you have another gallery on the page. And so we actually have a gallery right here where we set this overlay to be this color here. And so it actually inherited that color there as well. And so, but if you don't have a gallery, I think it should be just a solid black. And so if you wanted to change that so that it looks more like something like this, well, we have some custom CSS you can pop in. And so you just pop this in here and you can change this color value here. So RGB, and then you can make that be whatever you want. So super simple, makes it a little bit better so you can kind of see what's behind the page, makes it feel more like a pop-up rather than just a solid background there. So as I mentioned, this tutorial is great for when you want a click-triggered pop-up that is on your page. But if you want, if you want more features, so we kind of have two different options here. If you want more features to be able to do click triggers and stuff like that, or I'm sorry, automatic triggers like time delay, exit intent, stuff like that, then check out Divi Overlays from DiviLife.com. You can check out the demo, which I'm on now, which is DiviPopup.com, and you can see everything that we have that's built into the plugin here. And so all of these are templates that you're seeing here, which is really cool. So if you want pop-up templates, the ability to customize the close button, to be able to do scheduling, you can see a list of all the features here on DiviPopup.com. We have the ability to do that, choose what pages you want on. DiviPopup.com will show you all of the features. And so that is the ultimate pop-up solution for Divi, and we're close to releasing Divi Overlays 3.0, which is going to have even more features. We invented the page builder powered pop-up when we released Divi Overlays back in 2017. Nothing like it existed. It was a groundbreaking plugin. And we're about to reinvent the pop-up plugin again for the second time with Divi Overlays 3.0. So stay tuned for that. And then another option for pop-ups. So Divi Hacks, which is a plugin that we acquired last year, has the pop-up functionality that I just showed you here in the tutorial, has it built into Divi Hacks, so you don't have to copy and paste the code. You just add your classes and automatically create pop-ups. But that's just one feature of the hundreds of features and customizations that are built into Divi Hacks. And so you can do really cool things like this on this page, which we call this custom reveals. You can use that with Divi Hacks. So lots of really cool features with the Divi Hacks plugin. And if you want both Divi Popup and Divi Hacks, then we definitely recommend checking out our All Access Pass from Divi Life, which gives you all of our products, 60 plus products. We're about to launch a few groundbreaking new products as well, and you get access to everything in that membership. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Definitely love everything about pop-ups, and we've been doing pop-ups for a while, so we've gotten pretty good at what's possible. And yeah, you essentially have 3 different methods that I just told you about in this video. You have the tutorial doing it with the code without having to install any plugins. You have Divi Hacks, which is essentially the same thing, just it's in the plugin. You don't have to add the code. And then the third, which is Divi Overlays, which is the ultimate pop-up solution for Divi. So hopefully you found this helpful. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments, and we will see you on the next tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.